Hi, class. I thought I'd take this chance to walk through the syllabus for CPRE 480 this semester. We'll also talk about this together when we meet on the very first day of class, but I thought by creating this video, you'd have one place you can go and see answers to the very common questions that we tend to have at the very start of the semester. We're going to have three main avenues of communication and discussion this semester. And the first is Canvas. And I think most of you are familiar with Canvas. Certainly, if you've taken a class with me before, my use of Canvas for CPRE 480 is very similar to how I've used it in other classes, so it should look somewhat familiar. But those of you who are new to having a class with me, here's the front page or the home page of Canvas for this class. And it shows you just some of the basic syllabus and schedule information. So contact information is there for myself as well as for the TA this semester. Um, and more importantly are the low-level syllabus information. We can walk through that briefly here. First thing the syllabus talks about is the other two ways we're going to be communicating. So we are going to be having our classes this semester as a synchronous online experience. And so just to refresh your memories on what that means, we will be meeting via Zoom this semester at the regularly scheduled times. That is for our lecture get-together. That's 9:30 to 10:45 on Tuesdays and Thursdays this semester. So don't go wandering around the halls of Coover trying to find the class and trying to find me. I will be there on Zoom, and that link for Zoom is there on several places here in Canvas. It's on the home page there. It's on the syllabus page. It's also on the schedule page that we'll look at in just a moment here. We're also then going to be using Discord again this semester to deal with just general discussion. I know Canvas has its own discussion, others use Piazza, but Discord has worked pretty well for us for that purpose. So with that, when you have questions, I'll be able to respond to them. The TA can respond to them. Your fellow classmates can respond to those questions. And you can also use that as something of a collaboration space for your teams that you'll have as well. So we'll have our Canvas that you generally don't have to check that frequently. We'll be using it for sort of the static schedule and other information. I'll post videos to the Canvas. We'll have Zoom where you'll just be checking in on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:30 this semester. And then we'll have Discord, which is a bit more asynchronous. We'll be hosting our labs there on Discord. And whenever you have questions, you'll just be posting them there. There's not a lot of content yet available on the Discord. Some of you have joined, but many of you have not yet, and I understand that. But for example, when we have our first major lab assignment, there'll be a discussion forum for that. If there's general questions, I'll be able to answer your questions. If they're offline questions there. And then for each of the individual project groups that you'll be a part of, you'll have a place to just discuss as a team. You won't have to see all the other groups' messages. You'll have your own audio channels there as well. So when the time comes, that part will be made more clear, but you'll just be clicking into Discord, signing in, and having a place to collaborate with the rest of your team and ask questions as need be. We do have some, I would say, recommended textbooks, but no required textbooks for this semester. So I'm not saying you have to purchase any of these. If you can find them online, if you can find them on Canvas, if you can find them at the bookstore, that's fine, or on Amazon. But there's three different resources that I've used in developing the materials for this course. So while I'm not requiring them, they did heavily influence what this course is about. So I thought it was worthwhile to add those links there. Going middle and then outwards here. The middle one is that Edward Angel book, the Computer Graphics, a Top-Down Approach with Shader-Based OpenGL. That is a pretty good resource here. I'll list them here on our slide. That's this one right here. And that's a good book, and although it's a little bit dated now, but it's a really good high-level introduction to just computer graphics in general. I would say it's computer graphics for someone who's never explored that topic at all in the past. It's become a little bit dated. That you can see they have more recent versions that don't really touch upon OpenGL anymore, but that's the most recent OpenGL version of that book. It's a good starter reference. You have to update your knowledge base from there, but it's a good starter reference. That middle book here is the real-time rendering book, and that is something of a computer graphics super Bible. The reason that's not a required textbook for us this semester is it's a bit more advanced. So it's very possible that if this was a second course in computer graphics you would want to take, where perhaps separately you already took a introduction to graphics programming type class, then that book would be a good secondary book for you to have. It's more of a graduate level book, but it's got some really great content in there. It's not a light read. You have to take your time through there. And then finally, the third is the so-called OpenGL Red Book, the OpenGL Programming Guide. Um, that's not required for this class, although we'll be learning quite a bit about OpenGL this semester. It's also not one that you really read through and there's lessons or anything of that nature. It's really just a strict resource, all of which can be found online as well with regards to the various calls in the API, um, and how certain functions are meant to play together. It's not a good textbook, so I didn't make any of those required for those three different reasons. So one that's a good book, but is a little bit dated, I would say. One that's an incredible book and not at all dated, but is a bit too much, I guess you would argue. And one that's a reference, but not really a textbook for a class. So they're all nice to have on your bookshelf. Certainly, if you were to go into this area and industry when you graduate, they'd be great to have on your bookshelf. But they're not required for this class. Just recommended for this class. I'll let you walk through the learning objectives. The policies are pretty standard. I do definitely want to focus on the grading criteria for this course because I think it is a little different than other courses that you may have had. Certainly courses perhaps at the 300 level. I won't go too deep into my philosophy for this course other than to say that CPRE 480 is an elective course. You are here because you want to be here. My job isn't to make sure that you have a sufficient, computer engineering knowledge base to go off into industry and to represent Iowa State well and to be a successful engineer. We're here to learn. We're here to explore together. And the grading for this class reflects that philosophy that this is an elective and we're here to learn and we're here to try some advanced topics and we'll see what happens along the way. So if you look at that, the first thing you may notice is there's nothing about homework in this class. We arguably have no homework in this class. There's nothing about midterm exams or final exams. We do not have exams in this class. It is entirely an applied hands-on learning type of class. You'll be learning more about the hands-on learning exercises we have this semester as we go, but the long and short of it is we have these machine problem assignments where you're building a machine. These are these lab-style assignments that you have significant hardware and software design that you're doing, building your way up towards designing a graphics processor this semester. There are 5 of those assignments, as well as then a final project, which you get to propose and you get to defend the design for that final project. And finally, that's the entirety, that's 90% of your score. And then finally, there's a 10% sort of general class participation score. Are you showing up to class? Are you asking good questions? Are you physically and mentally present on a weekly basis in this class? You do that, you get 100%, you get an A in this class. And then finally, to add one final point about these labs and these machine problem assignments is that they're all going to be group-based. So the very first thing we'll be doing, and I'll click on the schedule here in a moment, we'll be figuring out on the very first day of class what our teams are going to be. So you don't have to get started entirely on your own for anything. These will be teams of 4 this semester. My preference would have been teams of 3, and I tried to scope things for teams of 3, but we're hardware limited. We have 8 platforms, and there's 32 of us, so we have 8 teams of 4 this semester. And on the first day of class, I'll be asking that you fill out this team formation survey. If you have a team that you'd love to work with, let me know. You can do that via the survey. If you have no idea who you'd like to work with, that's fine as well. Just let me know a little bit more about you. I'll try to put you together in a team that works well. And that'll be the very first thing we do at the end of our Tuesday first get together this semester. And then I will be able to make those teams and assign the assignments starting with that first MP0 platform introduction assignment. You may not be able to see that yet if you click on Canvas if you're not in a team, because these are assigned to the individual teams. We'll be having that the first lab in the first Wednesday this semester. And so this is the schedule page. This is just generally showing how our week-to-week schedule is going to go. I have less confidence in the pacing for how the topics are going to progress. This is my planned progression of topics, but it's a little harder for me to know based on your interest, where we may want to explore deeper and take a little bit more time. Conversely, where we may just be getting bored for a particular topic, we just may want to skip through certain things, that's fine as well. That's my pretty rough topic schedule here. So for each of these weeks, you will be able to click on the week here in Canvas, and you'll be able to see the lecture slides I have posted for them if I have those ready yet, as well as once the lectures are done, I'll be posting all the video for those as well. You also have the links here to Zoom, as well as just it's the one static link to the Discord. And then also you'll see then for each of those Wednesdays for your labs, you'll have the assignment listed for that particular week. So we have MP0 through what will be MP4, working our way up from really sort of a get started type of lab where we're just working out the kinks in the hardware that we have to building up the individual stages of a modern graphics processor, and then finally spending the last 4 or so weeks of the semester where every team is doing something different. You're proposing an idea for a project. I will approve it. I'll let you know if it's a suitable project for this class, given the scope and the time you'd have available to work on it. Um, and then there'd be, for what is our scheduled final exam time, we wouldn't be actually having a final exam. We'd be using that as our final demo day. So you can kind of see the schedule here and see how things kind of lay out. We'll be having time in class dedicated to covering topics. We'll also be spending certain class days where you will be presenting. You'll be sharing with your team how you did on that particular assignment, what you did well on, what you struggled with, what kind of demos you were able to do. With 8 teams, we probably won't be able to get to have every team demo for every assignment, but we'll try. We'll try to come close to that. And you can see those demo days sprinkled throughout on the day that those assignments are actually due. So you can see those Tuesdays that we have here for the MP0 through MP4 demos day, followed by the final project demo day, which will be during our scheduled final exam time. So otherwise, feel free to click around. If you want to get started on MP0 before you have a team, I can share you this PDF, or you can go check out the repository directly. But in a final word of grading about these assignments, these are not simple assignments. They're not unfair, I don't believe, but they are an extra level of hardware-software integration than you may have experience with. Certainly for those who took the computer engineering path through the curriculum, this, I think, will feel like a natural evolution for the labs that you did for a CPRE 381 type of class. For those that took more of a double E path through a curriculum, the software side of things may be a bit of an extra challenge than what you're used to. Likewise, for those who took a very software path through the curriculum, and all paths are allowed for this, you'll feel, I think, pretty comfortable with the software side of things of what's happening, but the hardware side will be a bit of a stretch for you. That's why we're having these teams, though. Each assignment is going to have a significant, I'll call it a hardware design component, a software design component, and then a hardware-software integration component, in addition to all the testing that one normally needs to do for these things. There's a lot going on there. You have a team of 4. You should be able to partition the work and do a reasonable job on a week-to-week basis, even if you don't think you have the deep hardware expertise, or if the low-level software that you have to do this integration is a little overwhelming to at least to start the semester. So work with your team, always put in a good faith effort, and we're really going to be grading these assignments based on effort and overall attempts at completeness. Very unlikely you'll be getting 100% on these labs, but that's okay. That's baked into the grading rubric for this class. That's expected, and that's perfectly fine. So don't be afraid to try. And don't be afraid to experiment with things, and don't be afraid to ask lots of questions this semester where you get stuck on certain either concepts or on implementation challenges. It's going to be, I think, a lot of fun, but it's going to be an extra level beyond what you've done in previous classes. That's the intent of this class. It's an elective. That's why you're here, hopefully. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing everyone in the first week of the semester, and certainly post on Discord if you have any questions about this or any other material. Otherwise, looking forward to it. Thanks.